Hello YouTube, my name is Tyler, and this is my final reading vlog of February. It is the 22nd, and I just got out of therapy, but Spare just checked out to me, which is very exciting. I said I was going to take a break from audiobooks, but here's an audiobook that I'm going to listen to. However, this is not just an audiobook I picked up on a whim. This is an audiobook I have been looking forward to because I want the hot steaming tea that is months old at this point. But anyways, so look forward to my thoughts on the monarchy later in this vlog. Hello YouTube. It is January 23rd. I finished a book. I finished it a little while ago, but I'm gonna show you something. My walking pad arrived today, so I spent quite a bit of time unpacking, getting it set up basically. So I am looking forward to being able to use that while I listen to my audiobooks and podcast and things of that nature while having a little trot. I've been wanting to walk more, but like East Coast weather sucks. Like, I don't know, more times than not. It's too hot, it's too cold, it's not sunny enough. XYZ excuse. So I thought this would be a good way to actually try and get steps in, especially since I don't leave the house all that often. So climate controlled, don't have the excuse of the weather. And yeah, anyways, so let's talk about the book that I finished. Hi Tiger Cat, come on, you can join me. Come on. Hi, Tiger Cat is here. So I finished White Oleander by Janet Fitch. I really liked this, 4 stars. It was not like a new favorite, all-time favorite. Like I really don't feel like it's gonna be a book I want to reread. However, I've had books like that in the past that I never thought I was gonna reread. And then I thought about them a lot, and so then they became books that I wanted to buy to maybe reread at some point. So like this is a copy I bought for 50 cents. It's real beat up. Usually I appreciate beat up paperback, to be quite honest, but if it ends up being in like 2 months, I'm still thinking about this book, I'll probably buy a nicer copy. My plan is to donate this at the moment. So yeah, 4 stars, not an all-time new favorite or anything, but I had a good time reading this. I talked about this, I don't know if it was last week's vlog or the vlog before. I gave a little bit of a synopsis. I'll go ahead and give that synopsis again. This is a book about a girl named Astrid and her mother Ingrid. The first couple chapters, I'd say like the first 4 chapters, is Astrid and her mother, getting to know Astrid, getting to know her mother, and their relationship, and just kind of seeing Ingrid as kind of, I don't know, like they have a very close relationship, but like you don't get the vibe that it's a healthy relationship, where maybe Ingrid thinks of Astrid as older than she is in negative, bad ways. Eventually, Ingrid goes to jail, prison for reasons, and that sends Astrid into the foster care system. And the rest of the book is basically Ingrid navigating that system. All the different houses and families and people she lives with, in the choices she makes, trying to be like her mother, but also trying not to be like her mother. There's a lot of like, this is what mom would do, this is exactly what mom wouldn't do type thinking. It's about like the emotional and physical scars that people put on a person, either intentionally or unintentionally. Some of those are good, some of those are bad. And it's just like exploring this mother-daughter relationship. And I don't know, it was just like really beautifully written. It's definitely a little more literary than I typically read, but it's not too much. There's not a lot of like pages and pages of descriptive flowery language, which is like what I associate literary fiction with. There isn't like, there are definitely metaphors in here. I've talked about, I'm not anti-metaphor, but like they're not super complex. Sorry, you're seeing cat butt. Hey bud. You're seeing, sorry, there are metaphor, but it's not just like super complex, super dense metaphors every other paragraph, which tends to like really grate me. This was like a really great balance of lovely, lovely language and the plot kept moving. There's a lot of drama in this book, which I enjoy. I like a tragic story, I guess. So, you know, that entertained me. You know, I feel like I connected immediately with Astrid. I immediately liked the writing as soon as the book started. So yeah, I just had a good time. 4 stars. Also, I will say, I have like mixed feelings about the very last chapter. I didn't hate it by any means, but I think I kind of liked chapter 31, the chapter right before the last chapter, as a good stopping point personally. But I can see why chapter 32 existed, and I can see how it closed some storylines a little more neatly. And you know, I think a lot of people probably enjoy that and prefer a little more tied up. I think I'm starting to realize I do kind of like a little bit of a unsatisfying ending. Like I want things to be, I want the majority of things to be resolved, but I do like there to be a little bit like left up to the imagination, if that makes sense. So the ending maybe just went a little long for me, just like a hair, a little bit. But like that's not anything that like takes a star off or anything. It's just a thought I had while reading. I just had a good time overall the whole time reading this. It just like, I don't know, it's just a 4-star book. Kind of like when I read, was it The Year of the Witching? Like, good book, enjoyed it, had a good time. It's just a 4-star book. There's like no reason that it's not a 5. It's just a 4, and like it's a good 4. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. It's not bad. There's nothing negative that makes it a 4 instead of a 5. It just is. It's a 4-star book for me. Had a good time. So, anyways, that is that. I'm currently listening to Spare by Prince Harry. You know, I'm having a decent time with that too. I really appreciate the chapters are hella short, like so short. I love a quick chapter. I'm really appreciating it in an audiobook currently. Usually that doesn't matter too much to me in audiobook, but I don't know, since I've been kind of burnt out on it, it makes it easier to stop and start the audiobook. The last couple audiobooks I've listened to have had very long chapters. So it makes it hard to find the time to listen because, you know, when you're reading a book, you can see a good place to stop. Like this book has chapters, but it also has like line breaks. And, you know, other books have parts and things like that. Like there are visual cues to where would be a good place to stop. And it's just like a lot harder to find those cues when listening to an audiobook. You know, I can like look forward 3 pages and be like, okay, there's a break there, so I'll read to that point. I won't start this next section. I'll wait, you know, and it's much harder to do that in audiobook form. So I really appreciate these like 5-minute long chapters. Like I'm really appreciating it. So I can listen to like 2 chapters, 10 minutes, and then go do something else, you know? So I'm enjoying that. Among other things, I've taken up smoking. Has kind of, well, first it's kind of fallen to the wayside because I was really focusing on White Oleander. I was really enjoying that. But also, it's kind of slowed down to a point in the book specifically where I'm just kind of bored. yeah, so I think tomorrow I'm gonna try and read a good chunk of it because I've only read like 2 chapters over the last 2 days. So I think tomorrow I'm gonna try and read a big chunk of it and see if I can get back into the swing of things with that. Otherwise, it might be a late DNF. I might DNF it like halfway in, which is a rarity, but that's something I told myself. I'm giving myself permission to do more DNFing even late into the process. I don't have to finish books if I don't want to finish books. Anyways, so that's what's going on right now. I will talk to y'all later. Bye. I'm in a different location, but I just remembered something that I wanted to mention when talking about White Oleander. It takes place in Los Angeles, and the author is apparently a third generation Los Angelino. And if you like reading about Los Angeles, I think you'll really enjoy this. There is a lot of like location stuff going on in here, and I don't know a ton about Los Angeles, but I do tend to like very place-based books. So yeah, I feel like maybe there was some more meaning to the places mentioned that I just didn't know by virtue of not really being very familiar with Los Angeles geography, but I still enjoyed it quite a bit. And if you have that knowledge of Los Angeles, you might be able to make those connections if you end up reading this. So yeah, if you like reading about Los Angeles, I think you might enjoy this. So yeah. Greetings. It is February 24th, and I'm just doing a quick check-in because I am officially DNFing, among other things. I've taken up smoking. I liked the first, I don't know, third, where she was living in Maine. Her dad was weird. She was isolated from her peers, but just like isolated from society in general. And was just trying to get through school. However, once she got to New York, I don't know, it just was not hitting the same. I was irritated with the people she was living with, but I could like deal with it because they were related to her father in some way, so I figured we would get more information about her father. However, I feel like I would have been more interested in it if her father had come to New York with her. But the like fish out of water, I'm from backwoods rural Maine, and I don't know how to do anything in New York City, was really grating. And then I DNF'd it when she had to have explained how to drink out of like the lid of a coffee cup. Like the lady was like, you just pull this tab and you can drink out of it. And it was just like the straw that broke the camel's back. I couldn't read it anymore. Like I cannot deal with it. It's irritating. So yeah, I'm DNFing that. Which means I am currently only reading Spare, so I have room to start some new books before the end of the month. So I will talk to y'all later. Bye. Hi, hello, it's the same day. I am in a different outfit because I have worked out and showered and all sorts of things. However, I did DNF another book today. I DNF'd The New Wilderness by Diane Cook. This was a book I picked up on a whim at the library. I had never heard of it before. I started it today and I read like the first section. It was like 3 or 4 pages. And I was already feeling kind of iffy about it. It's due soon. So I wanted to kind of try and finish it before it was needed to be renewed. However, my husband was going to run some errands today and I already had a library book that needed to be returned. So I just ended up giving it to him and deciding to DNF because I was already so certain. It's not something I have heard anyone talk about. So I don't know if it's like actually good. And it's not on my TBR. Like, it isn't anything I've been itching to read, and it was just something that seemed intriguing when I read the back of it at the library. But I don't know, I'm fine DNFing it. I don't feel like I'm missing anything. I will also say, like, it started off with a woman giving birth, and she was talking about her other daughter, and to be quite honest, I'm just a hair burned out on mother-daughter stories after reading White Oleander, which I enjoyed, but like not feeling the urge to read another mother-daughter story like back to back. So I just went ahead and DNF'd it so I could go back to the library and someone else who would enjoy it can get their hands on it. So anyways, that is it from me. Yeah, bye. Hello, it is February 26th. I am checking in real quick because I meant to record a clip earlier in the day, but forgot and then kept getting distracted. And so now it's very late since I wanted to originally record this clip, but I kept getting distracted, as I said. Anyways, so earlier today, my friend and I watched the White Oleander movie because we buddy read it together, so we decided to watch the movie. Based on the comments, people loved this, but neither of us liked it. Honestly, it felt kind of incomprehensible if you hadn't read the book beforehand. And everything just felt really flat, because the book is very internal to Astrid. I can't quite remember if she's like actually the narrator or if it's like third person, but with her thoughts. But there's only brief narration from Astrid at the very beginning and at the very end. And so like, I don't know, just it felt very rushed to fit all the things that happened in the book into the movie, and they still didn't fit all the things from the book into the movie, but there was like no build up to these big events, so all these events felt flat and emotionless because like we weren't getting Astrid's internal thoughts about what was going on in these people in her life. So yeah, we didn't really like it very much, which is a bummer. So, I'm hoping to finish Spare tonight, so you might see me in a little bit. I'm like close, I'm 3/4 in. So I'm kind of hoping I can finish that tonight, because I think there's like 2.5, 3 hours, so like in theory I could finish it tonight. But I'm unsure if that will actually happen, because I'm also trying to catch up on YouTube videos. My watch later playlist has gotten out of control, so I need to do some YouTube watching. So I'm kind of going back and forth between those. So I hope to finish it tonight, but I might not. But I should finish that this week. I'm also hoping I will finish You Just Need to Lose Weight, the Aubrey Gordon book, because it's due soon-ish. I would like to finish it in this vlog, if possible. I'm like a quarter through, and it does read fast, but I just haven't had the chance to like sit down and really read it today. Anyways, so I've rambled. This was a longer check-in than I had meant to do. I will see y'all either later tonight or tomorrow with my thoughts on Prince Harry. Nope. Yeah, Prince Harry and his memoir. Hi, hello, I'm back. I don't know if I've ever showed you guys this. Did I show you guys my giant beanbag? Let's see. It's a 6-foot beanbag, and it absolutely slaps. Anyways, I'm back because I finished Spare by Prince Harry. I keep wanting to say Henry for some reason, and so every time I say Harry, my brain's like, no, Henry, and I'm like, it's not Henry. Anyways, 3.5, so it'll get rounded up on Goodreads. I don't know what to say. Like, it's not an incredibly written memoir or anything like that, but it's very clear that this was done as a way to get his narrative out, in his own words. You know, a lot of the stuff covered in this was also covered in the Harry and Meghan Netflix series that came out at the beginning of the year, I think, or maybe it was the end of last year, I don't know. So there was a lot of like similar beats, but you know, it also covers much more of his life before he even met Meghan. So yeah, I will say the last two chapters, so the last like real numbered chapter and then the epilogue, I thought were really well written. The epilogue covers like when the Queen died and just kind of thoughts and things that he was dealing with at that time, that I thought was really excellent. Yeah, I mean, I come away with this. There was a whole chapter where he talked about like he's not necessarily opposed to the monarchy and he'll always support the Queen, and you know, he was in the army and went to Afghanistan twice, I think. I feel like him and Meghan have been like cast as they are trying to destroy the monarchy, and I think it comes off as very clear to me that he's very anti-media, really. Like his biggest beef, and he like says it in the book near the end, his beef is with the media and how the media has treated the royal family. God damn it, the heat just started. Give me a second. As I was saying, he comes from it, seeing that the way the media treats the royal family is shitty, awful, bad. When I read this, even when I was reading the Palace Papers, what I come away with is that, come on, Tiger Cat, come on. I come away thinking that the monarchy is unethical both inside and outside of the institution. And the reason I have even kind of gotten into learning about the British monarchy, because I've never really given a shit. I'm an American. Why do I care? Was You're Wrong About did a 4-part series, I believe, on Princess Diana. And I feel like it was very well-rounded, middle of the road, tried to be as accurate as possible without picking sides. But in one of those episodes, I can't remember which one, Michael Hobbs says that he believes that being in the royal family, or like the royal family, is a human rights violation. And like to a point it's kind of exaggerated, but he has said in other times that he believes fame in general is abusive. And you know, at the time I was kind of like, I don't know how I feel about that. But then like I watched The Crown, and then I watched the Palace Papers, and did I watch the Oprah interview? I can't remember if I actually watched it, or that's just kind of when I really started kind of looking into it more. And I can kind of see where he is coming from. People are born into the institution of the monarchy and they have no control whatsoever over their lives. But you can see how the institution itself is manhandling the youth in the institution to uphold these rules that have existed since time immemorial. And as they grow up, they end up repeating those cycles of abuse. You know, they're choosing to fight for power within their own family. So there's a lot of tension between Prince William and Prince Harry, because William is understood to have more power because he is closer to becoming king than Harry. So William is the heir and Harry is the spare if anything happened to William. And so there's this tension that it builds in these relationships. You know, when they're younger, it doesn't mean as much, but as they get older, the relationships, that family relationship takes a backseat to the institution of the monarchy as a whole. And that's not even including like people in the family like planting narratives in the media against other people in their family. So there's this stuff going on. You can see how damaging that would be to a person growing up as royalty. So not only is the monarchy just like awful shitty by virtue of existing and believing they're like relatives of God, basically, and the way they have accumulated their wealth and land and property through colonialism, imperialism, slavery, you know, racism, all sorts of bad isms. War, death, murder, slaughter, etc. So it's bad ethically on that like hyper global level, and then it is unethical on like the personal level, like that there is one family that has to be put through this. Yeah. And like that's not an argument Harry was making in this book. Like he said very clearly, like he still supports the queen. She is his queen and his commander, etc. And it's very clear that like he has normie politics. Like he's not trying to abolish the monarchy. But that's what I take away listening to this. Like it's just horrific, the things that his own family members were willing to do to him and each other. And, you know, it's also horrific what the media was doing. But man, like no one should have to grow up in that and deal with that. Period. Everyone should be allowed to like be their own person, because he talks about how the first time he goes to Afghanistan and he has his own call sign, and it was like the first time he was like his own person. And like no one should have to go to war and murder another person to feel like their own individual worthy person. Like no one should have to do that. There should be inherent value and individuality just by virtue of being alive and breathing. Yeah, so that's kind of like the big takeaway I took from this. So like while the writing wasn't like amazing or anything, I don't know, it just gave me stuff to think about. And you know, I think he did a really good job narrating it, to be quite honest. I listened to it very quick. I listened at 2.5 speed, which is quicker than I usually do. Yeah, I think he did a really good job. I will say I was also surprised at how like strangely casual this was. I expected it to be a little more, I don't know, formal in tone, but like my man talked about his dick way more than I anticipated. You know, I saw the thing about the frozen penis floating around on on Twitter where he was like relating the smell of the cream he used on it to his mother, which was a whole I don't even know where to go with that. But he talked about it a lot, actually. But I mean, like, it wasn't constant, but it was definitely more than I personally had anticipated. Also, he calls his brother Willie through this whole thing, which is just kind of funny and silly to me. And like, I never got used to it just because it seemed so casual and informal. And I've only ever called him William or Prince William. And so the fact that anyone calls him Willie is silly and funny. Also, I thought his relationship with his dad was really interesting because Charles is very much cast as like evil because of like Diana, and I don't think he's a good person necessarily, but it was interesting to see how Harry wrote about his relationship with his dad, because it like wasn't an amazing relationship, but I thought it was interesting because I think it was clear that Charles left his kids, and like he has been so damaged by what I'm gonna call royalty brain at this point, that like they just like don't know how to be normal people with each other, like how to show love and affection normally, because it's also like wrapped in all this like formality and like rules and stuff. Like when the documentary came out, Meghan was talking about how like she didn't realize she was like, they actually bowed to the queen in private, and like that's what makes sense. Like this formality seems like it should be something between monarch and subjects, not necessarily how they think about it these days, but like the monarch and the public, and like behind closed doors, when it's just like the monarch and her family, you don't expect there to be this like formality, but they still have to like maintain that formality because she is still technically like their monarch, their queen, their majesty, you know. So like even though they are technically related, like she still trumps that familial bond. That's just so bizarre. Like I think there's something that Americans like just truly cannot wrap their heads around, because it's bizarre. It's bizarre. Anyways, I have been rambling about this entirely too long. Who knows if this will make any sense. But yeah, those were things I thought about while listening to Spare by Prince Harry. I will see y'all tomorrow. Goodbye. Hello, it is February 28th. It is the last day of this vlog and the last day of the month, so I'm trying to finish up some things. I did finish You Just Need to Lose Weight and 19 Other Myths About Fat People by Aubrey Gordon. I gave it 4 stars. Really enjoyed this. I can't say there was like a ton of like new information to me as someone who listens to her podcast, which is about similar things, but I do think this was a really great book. I still feel like I got a lot out of it. I liked that at the end of each chapter, so each chapter is one of these myths that she is kind of tackling. A lot of these chapters have like reflection questions to ask yourself and think about, and reflect on anti-fat bias within yourself or anti-fat bias you have seen in society. But some of them also have actions you can take, so ways you can disrupt anti-fatness that you see in your life in society. Really enjoyed that. I think this is a really good primer intro into fat activism. I am not a fat activist. Like I said, I listen to her podcast, but I'm not like well versed in this. And I think this is a good place to start for someone on the left politically. It is very intersectional, which was just amazing. The whole last chapter is a really incredible piece of intersectional work in talking about how anti-fatness in society intersects with racism and disability and sexism and all sorts of other forms of discrimination in society. But throughout the whole book, I found it just really refreshing and wonderful how easily Aubrey Gordon was able to remind you that there are other people that experience fatness and thinness in different ways, constantly referring to trans people, to fat activists of color, to disabled people, constantly reminding you that there are no universals in experiences. There is always ambiguity and difference that affects the way that society sees them and things of that nature. Just really great. I definitely would recommend this to people on the left to become more versed in fat activism, fat politics. And it really I think the fact that it does it in these myths is really helpful because you don't even realize necessarily what biases and myths you're clinging to until she like points it out and then kind of debunks that. It's just really solid. I also appreciate that she, in the beginning, she's like, this is not like the end all, like this isn't the only thing you should read, and then you're like clear of your anti-fat biases. You need to continue to work on and rid yourself of these biases. And she includes constantly referencing work of other fat activists, activists of color, things of that nature. And I think that's really, really useful. So like, while this is a pretty like short read, like the main bit of the book is under 200 pages, she's constantly saying, if you're interested in this topic, you should read this article, book, essay by this person that goes further into this topic. So while it's trying to very broadly debunk these myths, partially to help you, but also to help you debunk those myths when you see them out in society, she provides a pathway to going deeper into these topics. So yeah, I just think it's really excellent. It's just like really good. Really enjoyed it. So there's that. I'm hoping to finish one more book today. I have a feeling it's not going to be until later in the evening. So I'm gonna probably technically close out this vlog on March 1st. I also am hoping, it'll depend on how fast I finish Royal City. I'm hoping I can start this. I have had this library book since January. I need to start it. I just need to. I keep... Honestly, I want to return it and read it digitally, but none of my libraries have an e-copy of this. They only have an audio copy. So since I have this, I just need to start. I just need to dive in. So I'm hoping I can at least get this started tonight in some way. If that's like only 2 pages, that will be just like such a win. Because I need to get this book out of my house and return it to the library. And like, I keep reading the summary and I'm like, it sounds like something I'm gonna enjoy. I just like need to start. I need to get going. So that's hopefully gonna happen today too, in some capacity. So yeah, that's where my reading is right now. Quite a little bit of a frantic, energetic last reading day of the month. But yeah. I will see y'all either later today or tomorrow. Bye. Hello, I'm back. I managed to finish my last book. So I read Royal City by Jeff Lemire. My friend, when we were doing Jeffuary, she read this during Jeffuary and really liked it. She's not much of a graphic novel reader, and she gave it 4 stars. So that had me intrigued to read this, and I was looking for something to read digitally, so I read this on my phone. Really liked it. 4.5 stars, so it got rounded up to 5 on Goodreads. It wasn't quite a 5-star incredible read for me. It was probably about a 4 story-wise, but I found the art in this to be absolutely beautiful. Some of my favorite Jeff Lemire work, to be quite honest. I still like Essex County more. I think that was like an actual 5-star for me when I read that 2 years ago. But the art in this was just absolutely just incredible. Incredible. It is a graphic novel that is about a family in this kind of small but dying city called Royal City that's kind of based around a factory that is struggling. And so it's kind of, it's about the town, but it's more so about this family and how this town has shaped and affected their life, and the relationships in this family. There's probably a better way of putting it, but it's just, it was really good. It was just really, really excellent. I'm gonna go ahead and close this vlog out because it is 8 o'clock on the 28th. I'm not carrying over any books into March, which is so good for me to start with a clean slate. But I read 4 books this week. So I read White Oleander by Janet Fitch. That took me about 2 weeks to read, so I've been reading it through most of February. I gave that 4 stars. Spare by Prince Harry, that was also 4 stars. I think that was a rounded up 4. You Just Need to Lose Weight. And 19 Other Myths About Fat People by Aubrey Gordon, gave that 4 stars. And then Royal City by Jeff Lemire, which I gave 5 stars. I rounded up 5. Actually, you know, this week was really solid for how slow February was. It ended on a really great note. And I managed to finish 2 books today, which also excellent. So yeah, usually here I would talk about what I'm carrying over in the next week, but I'm not carrying over anything into next week. And I already talked about Cantoris. Might start it, might not. We'll see how the evening goes. I would usually record my like wrap-up video now, but it's gonna have to wait till tomorrow. It just is, because I still need to do all my stats and adding up numbers and all that stuff. So that will have to happen tomorrow. So yeah, I will see y'all next week with, I don't know, a March vlog probably. All right, bye.